and to my president, to our president. Yes, he's still on. Well, hold on. I know, I want him to know, as a Palestinian American, is also somebody of Muslim faith, I'm not going to forget this. And I think a lot of people are not going to forget this. And it's not a threat. It isn't. They think we're joking. I mean, I think the White House and everyone thinks that we're just going to sit back and let this just continue to happen. No. The fact of the matter is, our lives are not safe with you or the forever peace president. It's just continue to watch people think it's okay to bomb a hospital with children. You know what's so hard sometimes is watching those videos and the people telling the kids don't cry and like let them cry. And they're
a few moments later.
This is an insurrection. Throw these people out. What is happening?
All right, guys. So we got to talk about what Democrats have described as an insurrection. And no, I'm not talking about January 6th. I'm actually talking about October 18th. Yes, that's right. Mark your calendars. October 18th. This day should go down in American history as one of the worst days since 9/11, which is what the Democrats have said when you have protesters that stormed the U.S. Capitol.
Not only a place on our calendars, but a place in our collective memory. December 7th, 1941, September 11th, 2001, and January 6th, 2021.
Okay, this is a terrible thing that should be condemned, and there should be zero tolerance for this type of behavior. This is what they told us. So again, I expect that same energy when it comes to what happened today, as there were hundreds of pro-Palestine protesters who were arrested at the storming the Capitol following a speech from Rashida Tlaib, who's a member of the squad. Okay, she's very, pro-Palestine, and she gave a speech essentially demanding that Joe Biden make Israel issue a ceasefire in the current conflict going on in the Middle East. Now, again, I just want to say this before I get into it. I am praying for both sides in regards to innocent civilians. I hate to see the violence and the tragedy that has occurred from this situation. I think something that really breaks my heart in this conflict is that I think people miss the nuance of the fact that it's not just Jews and Muslims losing their lives. You also have Christians that are losing their lives as well too. Okay, so with that being said, I'm praying for peace on both sides. I'm praying for the innocent civilians on both sides. And I personally do want to see this conflict resolved as soon as possible. Okay, I really do, because it's a tragic situation, and I hate to see the violence and destruction that is happening in this country being torn apart over this conflict. It really is a sad thing to see. But again, Democrats have told us that you're not supposed to do this. Okay, what happened today at the U.S. Capitol, you're not supposed to do. So again, let's see if the precedent that they set on January 6th applies to these protesters who I would guess are probably, left-wing, okay, or left-leaning in regards to punishment for, again, doing something that Democrats have described as an insurrection. So I want to talk about it, okay? I'm going to go ahead and play a news clip so you guys can get a better understanding of what happened and then I'm going to get into this. But first, I know that there are a lot of people that are stressed out right now from what's going on in the world, okay? And that stress could have a negative effect on our skin. So that is why the sponsor of this video is BioTrust. Have you ever wondered why our skin might look leathery as we age? That's because our bodies slowly stop producing the most important nutrient for our skin health, collagen. The result is our skin begins to get a tougher, thicker, and more worn appearance. This can be as noticeable as 10% per decade because that is the rate at which our body stops producing collagen. That is why tens of thousands are turning to this amazing new substance to replenish this diminishing but vital protein. And that is why I love this ageless multi-collagen by BioTrust. It uses the top 5 critically important types of collagen to support skin elasticity, hydration, and bring back that youthful glow. The best part is that it tastes better and is more effective than alternatives such as bone broth. Plus, it is easy to blend into your favorite drink of choice. Most importantly, you can save 53% for this month only. Plus, for a limited time, you'll receive free gifts such as free shipping, a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, free VIP live fitness and health coaching for life, and a free ebook titled The 14 Foods for Amazing Skin, all at no extra cost to you. Go to healthwithpatriot.com. That's healthwithpatriot.com, or click the link in the description down below before this once-in-a-lifetime deal sells out.
We're here supporting Rashida Tlaib's resolution for an immediate ceasefire. We're here with a message for Biden, who's meeting with Netanyahu right now. I'm looking right at you, President Biden. Are you going to be the president that funds and enables a genocide, or are you going to be the president that puts your foot down and stops the genocide? That's what we're here to ask.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. And so that's the idea behind it. So you're seeing some arrests being made right now. You just heard Liv there sort of describe their point of view. Again, this is a conflict that evokes a lot of emotion, a lot of different opinion, not always popular opinions among the general public, but that is sort of what you just heard her describe is the demands that this group is making, supporting a resolution by Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. Obviously, as you can see here, it's still pretty chaotic as you can see, and by chaotic, I don't mean violent. There's nothing like that, but there are just people now coming out, being arrested, it looks like one by one, by U.S. Capitol Police. I just want to context here and scene set a bit. This is the Cannon House Rotunda. So this is an office building that is connected to the U.S. Capitol, not the U.S. Capitol building itself. This is where lawmakers have offices and where we are often live, we and other media. And you do see protests like this break out in the Cannon Rotunda. Sometimes, I have to say personally, I've seen half a dozen. This is the biggest one and the most vocal one that I've seen so far. Now, the reason I believe you're seeing arrests being made, it's my understanding that people, regular citizens, are allowed to be in the building. You are not allowed to stage protests, and the minute that you sit down, there is an expectation that you are going to get arrested. And again, it's sort of one by one, or in this case, two by one.
Joe, let me...
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? They say approximately 300 demonstrators were arrested, and I want to be clear. These were not all Palestinians. In fact, there were actually some Jews, okay, that say, hey, they want a ceasefire. Okay, and because of, Democrat precedent, no, you're not allowed to protest like this at the Capitol. This is technically an insurrection. And you would think that these people will be held accountable the same way that January 6th protesters were held accountable, including those who were non-violent, who still got prison sentences and thrown in jail. Right, even though they took what essentially is a tour of the Capitol sponsored by Capitol Police. So again, anything less than that shows you that this is a two-tiered justice system. There are plenty of charges that the people that were arrested should be facing. Okay, in fact, maybe, just maybe, the FBI should be involved, showing up to their doorsteps, throwing them in jail, taking away their rights. Again, I'm just saying, if we are going to go along with the precedent that Democrats set, that is what you should see, including Rashida Tlaib, who, hey, you could argue incited the insurrection because of her demands for Joe Biden. Which, by the way, speaking of Joe Biden, to make matters worse, okay, they're demanding something of him, but I don't think that Joe Biden is actually capable of doing anything because he appears to be incapacitated at this point. This was Joe Biden today. Take a look.
Virtually every mass shooting, every circumstance where a large number of people have been victimized and lost, I've spoken with them. I learned a long time ago what you've all learned in your life. When someone's going through something that is beyond their comprehension, that they ever thought they'd have to go through. If they see someone who they think understands, or maybe been through something not the same but similar, it gives them some sense of hope. And I always get criticized sometimes by my staff because when I go to these events, I stay for 3 to 4 hours and answer all their questions. But it matters. It matters a lot. And look, I'm talking, some of you have gone through a hell of a lot more than I've gone through, and a lot more than other people have gone through. And you understand. So it's just people are looking for just something to grab, something that gives them some sense of hope. And that's, if I can do a little bit of that, then it's worth doing. Not for me. So.
Now, again, whether or not you think it's right or wrong, I'm just saying, if Democrats were consistent, if they were not hypocrites, they would be demanding for Rashida Tlaib to be arrested, okay, and honestly thrown out of Congress, okay, because they decided to impeach Trump based off things that he said on January 6th because he incited the crowd to go to the Capitol, right? So again, that same standard needs to be applied to Rashida Tlaib, the same exact standard, because she gave a speech at the Capitol. After the speech, this is what these people did. So yeah, I mean, according to the precedent that Democrats set, she needs to be removed, okay? I'm just saying, otherwise you have a two-tier justice system, and this is evidence and proof. This is evidence and proof. Now, again, we all know that this is not going to happen. None of these things I said are going to happen, right? These people are going to get a slap on the wrist, and Rashida Tlaib will not face consequences for her actions because she's on the right side of the political aisle, right? Because she's not Trump or she's not a Republican. She's not going to face any consequences. It is totally fine to commit these types of acts in which, you had things that were vandalized, defaced. Some of these people were violent. Yeah, totally fine and okay if you're a Democrat or you're a left-wing protester. And we have seen this time and time again over the past 3 to 4 years that left-wingers are allowed to riot. They're allowed to storm the Capitol. They're allowed to commit acts of violence. They're allowed to do whatever they want to do and get away with it simply because they're on the left. But when the right has one little outburst, right, you got to throw the book at them, right? They're the biggest domestic terror threat to this country. Again, it's situations like this and the lack of consequences that show you exactly what I'm talking about in regards to the double standard. Now, here's the reality, right? Here's the reality of this situation and how this country should function, right? We should have a country where people are allowed to freely demonstrate regardless of what side of the political aisle that you're on, because I do believe in freedom of speech. I believe in that. However, it is clear that there's only one side of the political aisle that is allowed to speak freely and to exercise their First Amendment right, while the other side has their First Amendment rights taken away. They're not allowed to do it, because if they do it, then therefore, again, it's an insurrection. Is dangerous. Okay, you guys see what's currently happening to President Trump with the gag order that has been issued towards him, because everything he says is violent and dangerous, even though it's not. Clearly, it's not. They're taking away his free speech rights anyways. But again, I'm just saying, will Rashida Tlaib be charged? Will the Congress demand that she stop saying the things that she's saying that has resulted in people storming the Capitol and committing illegal activities? Are people going to say, no, you need to stop saying that because you may incite a riot? You may incite violence? You're not going to see it. You're not going to see it. And, this is kind of where not having a speaker, right, is, kind of a bad thing, because if we had a speaker, a tough conservative Republican speaker, he would demand that these people be held accountable, right? That they should be held accountable, and that this will not be tolerated, just like it wasn't tolerated on January 6th. Again, it's impossible to show Democrats the repercussions of their actions and their authoritarianism if you do not make them face the same type of punishment that others have faced at the hands of Democrat authoritarianism, right? The only way to show Democrats that this is not the way to go is that the pendulum has to swing the other way. At some point, these people have to face consequences for their actions. That's the only way to show them. Because again, in the ideal world, you would not have grandmas thrown in prison for taking a tour of the Capitol on January 6th, or for simply just walking into the Capitol, not committing any acts of violence, just walking into the Capitol. You wouldn't have people charged for that, okay? And in this situation right here, ideally, you wouldn't have that happen either. But unfortunately, we don't live in a country like that anymore. And you have one side of the political aisle, when they do stuff like this, it's front page news. People are losing their minds. Okay, they're calling for arrest. They're locking these people up and throwing away the key. And on the other side of the aisle, people turn their heads and act like, oh, well, it's freedom of speech. The First Amendment, they can, this is their constitutional rights. Again, we can't live in a country like this. We cannot live in a country like this where we have a two-tier justice system based off politics. So again, I am requesting and demanding that once Republicans get their ish together, they need to make sure that Capitol Police throws the book at these protesters / rioters, because again, Democrats set the precedent that this is not okay in this country. So hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.